What up, Wizards? It's Dev. Mtg, we like it a magic, which is exactly why I always feel so awkward having to do content like we have to do today. I try to be a level-headed person, look at things from all different perspectives, take a couple of days to form a rational conclusion and all that, but I think that leads me to be the kind of person that can't sufficiently tap into my rage when it's warranted, and I've often wished that I had somebody around here who was better at that kind of commentary, but then I realized that I do have somebody staying with us for the holidays who's way better at that kind of thing. So, Kev? Would you mind? Do I mind screaming negativity for 10 straight minutes about all the dumbest decisions Wizards made this year? Not at all. God, I've been a dev so long, my coat is already covered in cat fur. How nice is that? Nice place you got here, bud. Oh, hey, you bunch of do-gooders. It's Kev. I'm not from this place. I'm just forced to visit here every now and again. And today we're going to talk about the 5 worst things that happened in Magic the Gathering this year. So let's go ahead and kick it off. I don't like to mess around with lists, and I don't like to put silly advertisements in front of them either, Dev. So let's go ahead and kick it off with number 5, Innistrad Double Feature. I'm just bringing this one up so we can dip our toes into the cesspool that is this year, because this isn't that much of a transgression, but it is still more rushed and even more poorly planned than this video. Not only do we not really get anything new out of this spit show, it really proved to be a waste of cardboard because they didn't even ink the color onto the cards, and they're trying to sell it to you like it's this, oh, it's a neat new art, it's black and white, you just didn't put the color on the cards. We're not stupid. Oh, and if you actually do happen to care about it, you're not going to get much of it because there's really not much of a print run for Double Feature. Apparently Wizards decided that nobody was going to want this thing before it even came out. Why print it? I don't understand why you printed it in the first place. Of course, the low demand on the consumer side, coupled with the low supply on the supply side, actually means these cards are relatively scarce, meaning that the collector value has gone up because nobody freaking has them. So for some reason, these black and white versions of Midnight Hunt and Innistrad Crimson Vow cards are actually worth more than the Midnight Hunt and Crimson Vow counterparts. So if you care about collecting, get used to seeing these, I guess. It didn't work. But we're just getting started here because, again, that's not even a big thing. Who's even really mad about that? At this point, we just expect stuff like this from Wizards of the Coast. A big deal, right? Number 4 is something you've probably already forgotten about because everybody else did. Magic Legends. That was this year. That happened this year. Can you freaking believe that? This thing wasn't just a dumpster fire. It was a trash fire at the dumpster factory, and it turned out to be more boring than watching taints dry. Oh, what is it? It's supposed to be paint dry? It's more boring than watching paint dry, is the expression. Well, it's even more boring than that, yes. They obviously put about as much thought into this game as Dev puts into writing a video, which is to say negative thought, for the most part. So you shouldn't be surprised this thing tanked as quickly as it did, but hey, in case you were excited about a Magic the Gathering MMO, well, I guess you can never be excited again because it's never happening again. It didn't work because they didn't put enough work into it, and it wasn't a very good game, and it's boring, and not enough people signed up for it, so now it will never happen again. But hey, why get mad about a thing that you completely forgot about anyway? How about we get mad about a thing that you had to live for the entire year? Because number 3 is the standard meta, and you know it. Now myself, I'm more of a legacy stacks kind of guy, and sometimes I play eggs and take as long as I can between decisions just to drive people crazy. But every now and again I check in on standard because I like to witness true misery on occasion. But even this standard environment over this last year has been too much for me. I mean, before rotation, why am I drinking Dev's coffee? Before rotation, we had to deal with Sultai Ultimatum for a half of a year, or even more than that, actually. 10 months Sultai Ultimatum, and mono white and mono green, and the rotation comes along, and there's no more Sultai Ultimatum, but you still have to deal with Alrund's Epiphany decks every time you queue up. And oh, by the way, mono white and mono green are still around, and they're basically the exact same decks. Whoops. Is this rotation really worth it to not have to play against mono red anymore? Really ask yourself that question. Is Embercleave leaving really enough to make this rotation everything we wanted it to be? Remember when we were happy? Remember October when we were like, man, rotation's coming, no more Throne of Eldraine. We were all so stupid, myself included, to think that that was going to make standard any better. It's just still the same slog of a format where you play against the same 3 or 4 decks and they're all doing the same broken, stupid thing that you can't really hope to beat with your fun stuff. And I know I'm an Epiphany player myself, but in standard at least, I have to play the most annoying, most aggravating, most broken deck. So I am an Epiphany player, and even I am sick of this. I am sick of just Fading Hope, Divide by Zero, Unexpected Windfall, Alrund's Epiphany, Hullbreaker, or I win the game. It's the same game every time, and I am done with it. Now, we're about to get to the worst thing that happened all year, but we got to stop off to talk about the second worst thing, which is almost certainly the worst thing, depending on who you are. But number 2 is the death of MPL in the Rivals Leagues. Matter of fact, I believe Wizards told professional Magic players they should, quote, pursue other professional avenues. Something like that, unquote. That's ridiculous. Now, look, I know that Dev is the one that usually tells sappy anecdotes around here that work on you emotionally, but allow me to do that because, look, I'm a sweaty edgelord type that puts way too much stock into the competitive value of my play in a card game. I always wanted to be a professional Magic player somewhere deep down, and for a while I actually trained for years to do exactly that. The only reason that I still played Magic the Gathering for a 5-year stretch was to attempt to become a professional Magic player, qualify for a pro tour, get out there on the road. And I know that I'm not the only one like that, especially back towards the mid-2010s and such. There were a lot of people that I knew in my personal life who were pursuing Magic the Gathering specifically to attempt to make a living out of it. And you can say it's silly, and I have said that it's silly, because I like to call out people's dreams. But for a while, it was my dream and the dream of a lot of people that I was very close to. And yes, I actually have friends. So I was a little surprised that Wizards just decided to completely pull the plug on pro play when it's been such a cornerstone of their marketing outreach since literally 1996, when everyone I knew had the tape of John Finkel at the World Championships, and they played those World Championships on ESPN2. But now, I guess we'll just take that whole dream. You don't even try to be a pro Magic player. Just get on Twitch or something. You're not going to be a pro. And I just hate that Wizards has decided to put the knife in the heart of not only a bunch of established professional Magic players that a lot of us know and love and actually care about in some way or another, but they've also decided to put the knife in the heart of the dreams of so many young Magic players that would like to pursue this as a hobby, more than a hobby one of these days. And now they basically shut the door on all of that when they're experiencing their biggest profits ever. They cut their entire esports division. What, can I be mad about that? Is that a thing I can be mad about righteously? I think so. It just seems like Wizards has finally decided after all this time that Magic the Gathering is not a spectator sport, which is nutso to butso to me, considering that there are currently, 2 or 3 dozen Twitch streamers that play nothing but Magic the Gathering and currently average around 1,000 viewers all the time. I mean, there are plenty of people watching Magic as a spectator sport. You just have to deliver it to them the way they want, and you definitely failed to do that. No offense to anybody involved. So I just think that if Magic the Gathering wasn't exciting enough as a spectator sport, that's not the fault of the spectators. And moreover, it's not the fault of your game. You have the literal best game that's ever existed. See, even I can say something positive every now and again. So if you can't market that, it's not on the game and it's not on the fans. And it's certainly not on the pro players or anybody who had aspirations to be one. This is one of the more depressing things that's happened all year. And I get mad about a lot of stuff. I don't get depressed about a lot of stuff. And this depressed me, so I'm mad about it. That's how I work. But anyway, let's get on to the number one bad thing, what had happened in Magic the Gathering this year. And you probably already know what it is, so I should just say that it's Alchemy. It's Alchemy. You win, guys. You win. It's Alchemy. Now look, Dev says that he has some fun in this format every now and again, and you can still play Standard if you want to, and all that stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, Alchemy still screwed up a lot of things. Why did it have to touch my Historic? It's the only format on MTG Arena where I feel like I could actually play a worse version, but still a version of like Pioneer or even Modern, right? Just a format that goes a little bit farther back, and they had to ruin that for me as a Magic player. I was doing some truly degenerate things in Historic. I was playing Memory Lapse all the way up until it got banned, and now this. Not only did they touch my Memory Lapse deck, but they had to do this now. It's ridiculous. And even in Standard, it just gives them an excuse not to ban stuff. I love bans. They cause so much hatred and division in the community, and I feed off of that. I want some bans, but they decided that they're not going to ban anything in Standard because they can just fix it on Alchemy. You don't really understand player base. You don't understand the problems, the ins and outs of the meta and all that. You don't know what makes a good or bad meta. All you do is play a bunch of Magic. You just play too much Magic on Arena. So that gives you less perspective somehow on the problem with the meta. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. You play so much Magic that you're out of touch. Like, oh, thanks. You'd think that would make me better able to identify the problems with the meta, but I guess I don't know what I'm talking about because I play too much Magic. It's ridiculous. Just just do something. You don't have to employ God knows how many coders and programmers and whatnot to put a bunch of brand new digital-only cards into Standard and have this new version of Standard that's going to be updated every... Why are you doing that when you just fix Standard? It's possible, I promise. You've done it before. I just don't understand why we had to do this. And look, yeah, Dev's got a point. If Alchemy's not for you, don't play Alchemy. But again, why did it have to touch so many things that I love and I have no choice? I guess that you could make the argument that you can keep Standard fresh and all that, but you're not keeping Standard fresh. You're keeping Alchemy fresh because there's a bunch of digital-only cards that aren't actually Standard. You're not fixing Standard. If there's a bunch of cards that aren't in Standard, it doesn't make any sense to just about anyone that's looked at it, myself included. I cannot make sense of this decision from any perspective. And I know Dev's the kind of guy that likes to make these measured, rational, logical videos about all the perspectives, and hey, maybe it's not so bad. But there's so many perspectives from which I don't understand this position. And I'm not even concerned just about the function of the client. I'm concerned about the health of the game that I've been playing for 26 years, right? I mean, just from the outside, I've been looking at the Twitter comments on Dev's page. I've been looking at the comments on the YouTube videos. Look, I feed off hate. I am in the comments section, trust me. And I see all of you down there talking about this is the thing that finally got you to uninstall the client. I'm never playing Magic Arena again. I see that, and you can bet Wizards of the Coast sees it too. I'm not saying you have to completely discontinue Alchemy, and I'm also not saying that the Magic player base is always right and needs catering to. Much the opposite of that a lot of the time, but this is one of those cases where I can definitely see why everyone's so freaking mad. So it's got to be the number one worst thing to happen this year. Even if Dev doesn't think it's that big of a deal, a lot of people do think it is that big of a deal, and for actual good reason this time. Why did you touch Historic? You'll never be able to explain that to me. Anyway, I think I'm almost out of scream juice for the time being, so I think I'm going to turn it back over to Dev after I tell you to like and subscribe, I guess. If you somehow enjoyed this content with me just screaming at you the whole time, I guess. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing, you have a bunch of subs. That's what you, unless you haven't subbed yet. See what I did there? I can make a pun too, damn. I'm okay at it. But anyway, like and subscribe, do all that stuff, and then maybe do this stuff if you want to as well. Watch Dev play some Magic on Twitch. Maybe you'll eventually get to see me play some Magic on Twitch, although sometimes when Dev has drawn enough lands in a row, I come out, and you'll see me. But in any case, watch him play some Magic on Twitch. Throw $1 in his Patreon every month, because even though he's a namby-pamby, goody-two-shoes, do-gooder jerk, he still doesn't deserve to go broke. So throw $1 in the pot if you want to support content like this, and if you want to follow him on Twitter for his dumb takes or whatever, to go ahead and do that too. But anyway, I guess I'm going to throw it back over to Dev. You ready? Come back? Because I'm just about done sitting here. This isn't my job. This isn't what I do. I don't even know why I agreed to do this. Hold on. Let me get over there. Jeez. Why you got me in this hole like this? This is ridiculous. How do you sit like this? Jeez, man. All right. Tag out. Let me actually get situated here. It takes a second. There we go. You see how deep this couch is? Jeez. Thanks, bud. I actually appreciate you sometimes. Anyway, do all the stuff that he did. If you want to see more of Kev, let me know in the comments. I probably shouldn't open that Pandora's box. But anyway, do all the YouTube stuff. Check out this stuff down here. And watch me play some Magic. Check out the Patreon. Do all that stuff. And I will catch you cats later. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'm Dev from the place. Thanks for watching, Wizards. No matter what, remember to spread love and be kind.